If you've ever felt completely drained by the relentless, nonstop grind of modern hustle culture, trust me, you are absolutely not alone. Today, we're exploring a really fascinating explainer based on Muhammad Farris's work, The Productive Muslim. We're going to discover how a 1,400-year-old spiritual framework offers a surprising and honestly highly practical solution to modern burnout. We'll see exactly how faith can profoundly boost your daily productivity, completely reframing how you approach your time, your energy, and your focus. Okay, let's dive into this. So, here is our roadmap for today. It's a highly structured, incredibly logical breakdown. We'll start off with the productivity equation, move into the spiritual multiplier, then we'll explore harnessing energy, sharpening focus, expanding time, and finally, we'll wrap up with purpose-led productivity. Let's jump right into section 1, the productivity equation. What does true output actually look like? Before we even touch on the spiritual side of things, how do we practically measure getting things done? Well, the author defines it with this really elegant core formula. Productivity equals focus times energy times time. And crucially, it all has to be directed toward a beneficial goal. It's honestly such a great diagnostic tool. Think about it. If you are missing just one of these elements, you instantly know why you aren't being productive. If you have focus and time but literally zero energy, you're lethargic. If you have energy and time but no focus, you're just constantly distracted. And if you have energy and focus but absolutely no time, well, you're perpetually hurried. And that leads us to a really crucial distinction: mindless busyness versus purpose-led action. I mean, we've all been there, right? Wasting energy on endless email chains or sitting through meetings that definitely 100% could have been an email. Modern toxic hustle culture kind of celebrates this superficial busyness, but real productivity, it isn't about being a machine that just runs at top speed until it inevitably breaks. It's about making smart, intentional, purpose-led choices. So moving on to section 2, the spiritual multiplier. How do we actually bridge our physical outputs with these deeper metaphysical concepts? Now, what's really interesting about this is a concept called baraka. Imam al-Raghib defines it beautifully here as the attachment of divine goodness to a thing. Baraka is essentially this unseen multiplier. It is the absolute foundation of spiritual productivity in the Islamic tradition. Because, you can have all the physical energy, focus, and time in the world, but without this divine blessing, you simply won't achieve your true potential. It's like this secret ingredient that takes a really small amount of effort and makes it yield a massive beneficial result. If you look at the very center of the Islamic view of productivity, you aren't going to find a schedule or a rigid to-do list. Right at the core, you find purpose, values, and the soul. These sit squarely at the center of our physical focus, energy, and time. The physical science of productivity is super important, for sure. But to really work, it has to be wrapped around a nourished soul and a crystal-clear, value-driven purpose. Which brings us to section 3, harnessing spiritual energy. How do we actually source fuel from our faith? So, how do we power this whole system? The author points out that spiritual energy isn't just physical stamina from a good night's sleep or a healthy meal. It is the deep mental and emotional resilience you gain from adhering to core principles. It comes from taqwa, which is being constantly conscious of a higher presence, keeping you grounded. It comes from shukr, or genuine gratitude. And it comes from istighfar, the continuous seeking of forgiveness, which literally clears out the daily anxieties and distress that drain our mental batteries. And hey, this isn't just abstract theory. The source material gives us incredibly actionable tips to build this energy right now. First, keep a daily gratitude list. Studies actually show that people who do this make significantly more progress toward their goals. Second, consciously seek forgiveness, saying astaghfirullah, to lighten your emotional load when you're feeling stressed out. And third, don't just blindly donate money. Really connect with the people you help through charity. That one-to-one human connection provides a massive psychological boost, recharging your spiritual energy in a way a simple bank transfer just can't. All right, section 4, sharpening spiritual focus. Let's see how this builds into the next pillar. In the Islamic tradition, focus is really all about directing your actions toward a higher purpose, so you aren't constantly getting distracted by the temporary dazzles of worldly life. You do this by clarifying your intention, or niyyah, before you even act. You use supplication, or dua, to turn an ordinary worldly goal, like, say, getting a job, into a spiritual quest. You use the physical ritual cleansing of wudu to literally and mentally reset yourself when you're feeling sluggish. And on a very practical level, you unplug from your screens.
It's about utilizing these ancient practices to build an absolute fortress around your attention in a hyper-distracted world. Now, if you ever find yourself in a total productivity slump, the author highly recommends these exact steps to pull yourself out. First, perform a spiritual time audit to see where your effort is really going. Second, consciously turn your daily mundane chores into acts of purpose by renewing your intentions. Because yes, even everyday work can be an act of worship if your intention is honest. And third, when you find yourself hopelessly distracted, revert immediately back to your spiritual routine to recenter yourself. Next up, Section 5, Expanding Spiritual Time. Let's examine how time can actually feel expanded rather than constantly constrained. We all have 24 hours, right? But how we use them changes everything. And this brilliantly illustrates how the 5 daily Islamic prayers naturally regulate the day to solve time scarcity. You wake up early for dawn, you get a natural midday break at noon, a final energy boost in the late afternoon, a wind down at sunset, and a positive conclusion in the evening. These aren't just religious obligations, they act as a built-in schedule. They provide these healthy, structural anchors that actively prevent the modern disease of burnout. And long before the secular 5 a.m. club became a massive corporate trend, the text highlights a highly potent ritual called tahajjud, the night prayer. This involves waking up in the middle of the night while the rest of the world is completely fast asleep to invest in quiet, spiritual time. Just think about the incredible mental clarity this cultivates. Instead of waking up frantic and instantly swamped by emails, you secure this extra serene time. It emotionally calms you and sets a powerful, proactive tone for your entire day. The practical takeaways here for your daily time management are honestly profound. The author advises planning your life around these prayer times rather than trying to squeeze your spiritual anchors in between your worldly tasks. So, avoid scheduling meetings during these times and build the habit of leaving early for these appointments. Treating these spiritual anchors with absolute strictness builds tremendous outward integrity, dependability, and a fiercely disciplined approach to time management in your everyday professional life. Finally, Section 6, Purpose-Led Productivity. Let's bring all these pillars together to look beyond just raw output. So the crucial point is that true productivity here is absolutely not just about raw output or crossing off tasks on a list. It's about being a value-driven, soul-guided trustee on earth, what is known as an amana. It requires honesty, excellence, and a deep belief that your actions have weight far beyond this immediate physical world. It totally shifts your mindset from being just a cog in a machine to being someone with a profound, intrinsic drive to do good. Which brings us to the ultimate question you really have to ask yourself after going through this explainer. Are you working just to produce, endlessly running on a treadmill? Or are you working for a higher purpose? Take a moment today to really reflect on whether your daily hustle actually aligns with your deepest values, because that alignment is where true, unbreakable productivity actually begins. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this framework helps you find that incredible balance in your own life.